All right. We are now recording. So, welcome everyone to the first potentially annual State of the Program for CE Online Credit. This is a no frills event. Bring your own copy. Second time I've used that joke. Sorry if you had to hear it twice. But we are glad that you are here. We're going to try this out today. We're going to try and keep it to under an hour, at least up until Q&A, and we will keep a copy of this recorded meeting available for the next 2 months. We don't want it lingering around forever on the internet after that. So that said, allow me to jump into the first section of our meeting based on the agenda, which will be introductions. Amy, and we're only introducing Amy, Jeff, and myself. We are going to try and keep it rolling from that point. And I'm sorry to those of you who are disappointed, but we are not going to be doing breakout sessions, forced get to know yas, or icebreakers. The res lifer in me weeps with the revelation. So, uh, Amy, do you mind go ahead and introducing yourself?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see everybody. My name is Amy Santisteban, and I am the online credit program specialist. I just had my 1 year here with continuing education. So it's been nice to see all the different sessions and how they uh, all the different parts and pieces that go along with that. My main responsibilities include course development. We deal with 33, in the fall, we dealt with 33 different departments and we had 287 sections. So there's just a lot of different coordinating parts and pieces there with course development. And with that, I also coordinate with our learning design group with any new courses and new instructors. I manage our offer letters as well. So that's something that I would handle on my end in terms of dealing with you folks directly. And then my other main category of duties revolves around our student base. So I manage the CEWW email and I focus on student support. I try to be as quick and thorough getting answers to our students as needed. I coordinate with our student services team. I meet with them a couple times a week, and I also meet with our academic advising team. And I have access to Canvas so I can help students in a live scenario when they're in with an advisor and there's issues that come up or questions that come up of that nature. I launched a syllabus sharing project this past fall, or this fall right now that's happening. And that's making, I went in and copied everyone's syllabus from every Canvas shell for the last year. I'm just trying to make those available to our advising team so they can use those when meeting with students for examples of what a class is going to look like. And then I'll continue to update that every term as we go along. And I think that's all. I might be missing some things, but if you ever need to talk to anyone about student-oriented issues or anything to do with course development, please reach out to me. Adam and I do a lot of um, teamwork. So if you're ever unsure, please just loop me in and I'd be happy to help as needed. Did I
Thank
run
you,
too
Amy.
short? Okay.
Nope, I think we're doing all right.
Okay, great.
And if we have more time for Q&A and mingling and chatting at the end, that's fine too. So again,
Awesome.
my name's Adam Beaver. I'm the Assistant Director for CE Online Credit. I oversee a lot of the operations. I'm a main point of contact for faculty and many of our partners throughout the university. And of course, I work with these wonderful people, Jeff and Amy. One of the things I get to do in my position is track the growth and engagement of CE Online Credit. So I wanted to share this slide because I don't think any state of the program is complete without some sharing of numbers. So our program has always been steadily growing, and in the last 5 years, you can see just the number of faculty, sections, and students that we've had come into our program. And by faculty, I do that includes both lecturers, full-time staff, and GPTI. So our program is kind of like the what you want your retirement account to look like as you're approaching retirement. We are steady and slow and growing, as opposed to shrinking or growing in any great amounts in any direction. Um, Total numbers comparing the academic year from 1920 to the current academic year, we have an increase of about 3,000 students. So our program is doing well, all things considered, with the pandemic, with hits to enrollment. We are doing a good job of bringing students in, of supporting their path to graduation. And with our growth comes, a lot more opportunities for us to engage as a team with the rest of the university. We have more issues and more successes and more needs to get in there and help the faculty or students. And we've been lucky to have Amy join us this last year to kind of match our growing program. And this coming year, we're going to be hiring a graduate student to help us do a more intentional job of tracking how these numbers work, how our individual classes grow or shrink depending on the semester, and just trying to do more in terms of digging into the numbers that we collect and want to do a better job of presenting in the future. And with that, I'm going to hand it to Jeff. Just a quick overview of the agenda here. I didn't have this up earlier. A good chunk of today's session is going to be sharing some of the updates coming up this year. That's going to fall on Jeff. We also have a couple guest presenters coming in at the end to talk a little bit about other opportunities we want to let everyone be aware of. So with that, I'm going to toss it to Jeff. You have the conch shell.
All right, that sounds very good. Thanks. So I am, as most of you know, I'm the director of the online credit program, and we're the primary program on campus for undergraduate credit-bearing courses. So my focus is on the direction of the program, hence the name director, and the guiding principles and our sense of where we want to head in the future. And in general, the nature of our collaborations and partnerships around campus. So one of the key guiding principles we have is that academic departments are also the academic homes for the courses we offer. The same breadth, depth, and rigor as main campus courses are inflected in the way that the department leaders and the faculty from those departments see fit. I'm fond of saying that our secret sauce is in what's a really long-standing, successful program, and as Adam has shown, steadily growing. Sidebar: we're gonna crack the 6,000 mark this fall. That the slide that you put up for 2024 is, that those enrollments are still growing. That 59, 57, that's still growing. So I want to see it crack 6,000 for the first time. But those numbers that, over 5 years, you see that growth. And that's fairly typical. We're growing, 7 to 10% a year, usually. That's the typical growth. So at any rate, long-standing, successful program, and I think our secret sauce is that we are saying to the academic departments across campus, you do you. We can be very useful strategic partners. We can be strong assets for departments seeking additional funds for graduate lines, wanting their doctoral students or other faculty to gain online teaching experience. And these strategies really vary a lot from one department to the next. And so my role is often to work with department leaders to establish how their departments would like to express themselves in the online space. I sit down with department chairs to talk about overarching, in general, strategic initiatives. I sit down with department undergraduate curriculum chairs to establish what kinds of courses make the most sense for the department to offer. I sit down with graduate chairs to talk about GPTI lines and funding and opportunities to get doctoral students online teaching experience. And I also work a lot with our liaisons. Our liaisons, most of whom are here in this event, we have 12 full-time faculty who liaise between their departments where they are rostered and with continuing education, who mostly funds them. And so these liaisons are all charged with making sure that our curriculum aligns with the department's view and with making sure that our courses are staffed with faculty that the department chooses and approves of. So basically, the nice rhyme is alignments and assignments, curricular alignments and assignments of courses to faculty is what the liaisons work on. I do not necessarily reach out to interact with all of our faculty directly, especially when a departmental liaison is focusing on the alignments and assignments and supervising and mentoring faculty from that department. But I will say that I welcome any faculty who would like to chat either on Zoom or on campus with me. I really enjoy those conversations, hearing what you're up to. If you want to pick my brain about something, or you may have some kind of interesting things to offer, and we can pick your brain. So I'll always be happy to take a meeting if you reach out. And I really enjoy finding out what you're up to and hearing your ideas and concerns. So that is it for my role. Oh, I see the Inclusive Pedagogy and Student Success Initiative slide up. So I guess I can just go, just head right into that. So I mentioned these 12 departments who have liaisons. Usually those liaisons are part of what we call a CU Complete agreement. CU Complete is a program that initially started with Colorado Department of Higher Education grant funding. And it means that all of the requirements for a major can be had online from that department. So we have about 12 of those departments. It helps students who are just finishing up, but it also helps students that, when we reach out to students who have left CU and only have a handful of courses left to finish their degree, and we can say to these folks, you can finish your degree without having to uproot whatever your life is now, without having to change your geographic location or your daily schedule and so on. And while we work with over 30 different departments, offering online courses from over 30 different departments from, I think 5 of the schools and colleges, the 12 departments who have liaisons basically make up 12 of the top 15 of our enrollment producers. So departments that have liaisons represent about 2/3 of all of our enrollments. And so we're really pleased about having that as a larger programmatic initiative. It's a really important guiding principle that we encourage departments to be themselves when they strategize their approach to online learning and their partnerships with us. And we underscore the principle that the departments are the academic homes of everything we do, while we are the administrative home. But this does not change the fact that continuing ed offers a lot more than just mere administrative services. Our learning design group designers are super helpful. They are experts not only in the technology of online learning, but also they are pedagogical experts, pedagogical strategies and approaches and best practices. They are highly skilled and trained in those arenas. So we provide very robust resources to help make things happen. And that means that many aspects of the program are program-wide and not just specific to individual departments. And I would say that the most important program-wide focus we have is student success. Our learning designers help faculty with best practices for student success. Our student services and student advisors pay a lot of attention to the student experience and give us feedback from the student perspective. And that means that we also align ourselves with campus-wide initiatives that focus on student success. And this alignment is program-wide and does not necessarily reflect the habits and practices of individual departments. So you may feel a different kind of encouragement and even gentle pressure from us to focus on these concerns, that maybe that it's possible that your department is not expressing that kind of pressure. Let's see. I've been really impressed with a lot of what the Center for Teaching and Learning is offering with regard to inclusive pedagogy and student success. And so they have a strong focus on making sure students are well resourced and feel part of a community. Adam, could you put the CTL teaching resources in the chat for folks?
It's there. You got it.
Oh, okay, great. Oh yeah, I haven't opened the chat to watch these appear. Great. Okay. So Adam just put in the link for general Center for Teaching and Learning resources. And then here is a link that gives you the student support toolkit for at-risk students. A really important resource to avail yourself of. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to the Inclusive Pedagogy Community of Practice, which will be meeting in mid-September, and Adam just put in a link to their calendar and sign up for that community of practice. It's a very dramatic moment for teaching and learning in the age of AI, and the Center for Teaching and Learning does a great job of providing those resources. We put that link in as well. And then also very specifically about inclusivity, inclusive pedagogy, we have the inclusive pedagogy resources that Adam just put in. So what you're going to see on that site is the kinds of things that Center for Teaching and Learning do, and that we very much feel in alignment with, and we want to really encourage you to be thinking in these terms. So that the site that he just put the link in for is going to give you information about designing an inclusive syllabus, or addressing accessibility for all students, creating a supportive course climate, building community online, using the AAC and use high impact practices. High impact practices are pedagogical practices that really that are deeper dive, active learning kinds of approaches that are especially useful for underserved students, but are just better pedagogy than the average multiple choice exam kind of thing. So I strongly recommend those. Helping students reflect on their learning, that active learning and experiential learning approach. Supporting international students during remote instruction, supporting multilingual learners in your classroom. And then the other main campus initiative that we are in alignment with from a student success perspective is the BUS program. Adam, if you could put the BUS link in. BUS, BUS stands for Buffs Undergraduate Success. And this is kind of a high top leadership down kind of, sure is helpful to the bottom line to have good retention and completion rates kind of initiative. And we're very much in alignment with this because good completion rates, not only do they mean good completion rates and retention rates, not only mean a good bottom line, but it means the students are thriving more. So here is the University of Colorado Buffs Undergraduate Success charge. I'm going to go ahead and read these bullet points to you. To allocate resources and create a campus community of practice around student success that will achieve the goals of enhancing the student experience and their sense of academic and social belonging. And these can all be found at the link Adam just gave you. And these are, principles that we adhere to as well. Part of the charge is to increase retention and graduation rates, to provide more stability and direction to our enrollment management strategy and our curricular planning, to implement a process to analyze, prioritize, and make resource recommendations for undergraduate student success efforts, making it possible for CU Boulder to implement decisions surrounding student success efforts and priorities in a timely, effective, and transparent manner. And one of the things I want to underscore about that is that we're always interested in your ideas of your resource recommendations for undergrad success efforts and so on. And then the last bullet point from BUS, from Buff's Undergraduate Success, is to focus on cross-functional and cross-campus collaboration that result in policy and process improvement for all undergraduate students, and particularly for underrepresented students from historically marginalized groups from their first day on campus through the fourth semester. And we want to be part of that, and we want to be woven into that guiding principle. So yeah, that is pretty much what I had to say about that particular slide. I am ready to go ahead and move to the next one. But before I do, are there any questions about what I've presented so far? And to reiterate what Adam said earlier, if you ask questions now, you will be part of a recording, and you agree to being recorded. And we are also going to shut off the recording at the end. So if you don't want to be recorded but do have a question, at the end we'll stop recording and you can ask then. So are there any questions about our strong thrust this year and moving forward to these student success initiatives? Any questions?
Yes, I have one. Mine is actually about all of these links that you're sharing. I always, every time you and I are in a meeting together, you share a lot of links with me, and I open that tab in the moment. And then later I'm like, what do I do to retain this? How do I get back to this link at another time? What do people do? What is like the human method these days of knowing where to go when you need to go to it?
Well, tell you what, Adam, would you be willing, when you send the recording out to everybody, can we also include these links?
Yep, I can do that. I'm happy to. And we're gonna take the feedback there and not have the PowerPoint slides up the entire time. We're using those mostly as title cards because we wanted to give you the live links to the chat feed, since you're not able to click a link when we put it into the PowerPoint slide. So we'll just leave the slide up for a second as a title marker, and then we'll take those slides down again going forward.
So you have them all live now, and you can link to them, and you can bookmark them if you open them now. But we will also send out a recording that will self-destruct after a few weeks or something like that. But we'll also be giving you these links in that email. So it's a place you can keep them if you don't want to open all of these and bookmark them right now. All right. Any other questions? Adam, are you able to see everybody? Okay, great.
I have another one if I may.
Sure.
Lately I've been having a lot of Canvas issues. I'm probably not the only one. And when I'm having Canvas issues, there are a few different people I can go to, right? And when I was building a new class for this semester, and who do I go to when this or that is going on with Canvas? I struggle with, I have options, right? And so who most wants to help me with that? Is it the learning design group? Is it the CU Canvas people, or the CU IT people? we have overlap
Mhm.
with some things. You know what I mean? Like how do you deal with the overlap?
I'm gonna. Do you want to answer? Do you want to field that one, Adam, or Amy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sure.
I think in regards to the Canvas issues, while our learning design group is able to help as much as they can, OIT is responsible for managing that learning management system, as it were. And so we really do rely on them to be able to respond to questions that you have. Now, I'm always happy to be CC'd when you have a Canvas issue and you send that to OIT so I can track it, because otherwise I'm not, from where I'm at, I'm not hearing about the Canvas issues unless somebody comes to me directly and I
Ah,
can help
okay.
connect with OIT, but I'm not
Hmm.
using Canvas much other than occasional audits through the semester, and that's not anywhere near in the same way that an instructor is using Canvas or an instructional designer is using Canvas.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Does that
Yeah.
help?
Yeah, yeah. And I
Yeah.
mean, it's the kind of thing like if we were having a more group meeting or together right now, like I'm just a little curious. Is anybody else having Canvas issues like glitches where things aren't saving? Is anyone else having that kind of issue? Yes, I see a few nods and a few shakes. Can I just get a show of hands? Who's having some glitches? Okay, like four, five, five of us maybe. Yeah, it's baffling. I actually thought I was losing my mind last week. I was really starting to worry about my brain because things were gone that I had done.
I just met with OIT immediately before this meeting. I
Hmm.
wish I had had that meeting afterwards so
Mm.
I could ask them, or I wish I had asked them,
Hmm.
what's up with these Canvas glitches. I'm sorry to hear that. And I also wanted to put in that the Learning Design Group is currently going through big changes and kind of understaffed.
Yes.
They're right now in a search process for a new manager of the group, and we'll see how that unfolds. And so we're trying to be helpful and mindful of Learning Design Group's limitations at the moment. They're short staffed at the moment, and I'm going to be talking a little bit more about the idea of a peer mentor ecosystem. At some point, we're going to sit down with Learning Design Group when they have their new manager aboard, and maybe and have the bandwidth to have this longer strategic conversation. We'll be talking about what are ways that our faculty can contribute as consultants, and be compensated. So our senior faculty, our liaisons, our people who have been with us a long time. We have some full-time faculty rostered with continuing ed. Amanda, you're one of those. So we're looking more and more deeply into leveraging the talent and expertise of our faculty, moving forward. It's a very unformed premise, and we want to be building that out this year. I'll be talking a little bit more about that in a minute. We want to be building that out this year, and we are all ears about your thoughts and ideas about how that might look. That will be that'll be coming up. All right.
I'm gonna take us briefly to the next slide here, and keep us moving, but just to sort of flex with what I'm hearing would be helpful, let's think of that end session or that end bullet on our agenda. The Q&A session is more of an open forum. So if other things like this are coming up and folks are still able to stay, we can have some more open discussion. I'm available to keep the Zoom room open as long as we need to this morning for that.
Very good. So yeah, I mean, the slide has been flashed. You can bring it down again, I guess. Yeah, there we go. Thanks. Um, okay, so completion rates, FCQs, other evaluation measures. One of the key goals for this upcoming year and beyond is that we want to up our game with regard to harvesting the metrics of student success. And as Adam discussed a little earlier, right now we are about to interview a group of finalists for a graduate student position in data analysis, evaluation, and assessment. Looks like we have a talented bunch to choose from, and we're excited. We're at a 7 kind of semifinalist stage, and burning that down to a finalist stage. So hopefully this person will be on board as early as maybe the end of next week or the beginning of the following week. So our hope is to be able to quickly pull metrics related to student success and to use those as tools for continuous improvement, while we hope to get more and more sophisticated at designing and choosing those metrics. We look at one really key low-hanging fruit kind of metric, and that is completion rates. So we've been looking at completion rates in courses that have come to our attention, and we're going to be able to look at completion rates for individual courses. For all of our individual courses, we're going to be able to compare those to larger trends within the online program, larger trends with the main campus counterparts of those programs. So that's one important thing that we have going on. This summer, we convened a faculty working group to look at issues with completion rates in one of the classics among the bottleneck courses, which is stats. So a shout out to Laura Patterson, who headed up our stats group. That was an interdisciplinary. We offer stats in 5 or 6 different disciplines, and that group did a terrific job of really looking at these things. Laura is our sociology liaison to continuing ed. She's here in the room with us, in the Zoom room with us. So at any rate, we expect to take this lens and this perspective, not only looking at, which is, why is it that students aren't completing? What are the issues that arise? What are those trends? We want to take that perspective on the road to dig into these challenges program-wide. And so we're probably going to be convening another faculty work group to look at to kind of leverage that, and Laura's going to be our fearless leader with that. Laura's also, with her assessment and evaluation background, is going to be helping us work with this graduate student. Okay, FCQs. Our FCQs already go beyond what is asked on main campus, because we have several questions related to specifically to the online environment. But we're also interested in upping our game with regard to surveying students in the middle of their terms, so the faculty can make adjustments on the fly while the course is still going. We want to start, and really all ears about your input about what kinds of questions should be included in those surveys and so on. So we will be convening focus groups to get a real sense of what student experiences from their perspective. We plan to leverage faculty perspectives on what you think we might want to take a deeper dive into as we up our game in the data mining and assessment and evaluation. So at any rate, bottom line is we really welcome your thoughts and input as we ramp up these initiatives moving forward. And I will pause again for questions before we put up another slide. I'll take the opportunity to move on, and as you all know, there will be more opportunities for questions a little bit later on. So terrific. Okay, this is our, looks like you jumped ahead one. Do you have, I'm at faculty, peer mentors, and evaluators. There we go. There's the slide. Okay. All right, we are getting into the neighborhood of about 18,000 or 19,000 students or enrollments a year. And we have liaisons representing about 12,000 of those enrollments. So about 2/3 of our enrollments have a liaison representing them, which really adds to the richness of our program and is a point of pride. So getting those CU Complete agreements going and getting our liaisons in place has been a long journey. Our hope is to continue to grow, to maybe have more CU Complete partnerships, to have more liaisons. And just a note, our liaisons are experts in their own disciplines and their own areas of scholarship. But they are also experts in online learning and in the intersection of the department concerns and the world of online learning. So another aspect of our anticipated dive into course quality, ongoing improvement of the student experiences and success is going to be faculty peer mentoring to the assessment and evaluation of our courses. We want to make feedback from these experts more available. We're looking into kind of a consulting model where, like I said earlier to Amanda, where some of our long-time leading faculty can also serve as consultants. We might be able to compensate them as consultants, looking into the compensation model at the moment, and having them be available. So so as we are upping our game with regard to harvesting intelligence about how to improve those student success initiatives, our plan over the next year is to further leverage our especially experienced faculty, both liaisons and not, to foster more of an ecosystem of peer mentorship. So I want to give a shout out to Teresa Nugent from English and Lee Frankel Goldwater from Environmental Studies. They have distinguished themselves as leaders in working with AI and in training folks to lean into AI in their pedagogical initiatives. They're both full of insights and strategies on how to grapple with and leverage AI experiences for students in both the face-to-face classrooms and online. Laura Patterson, I mentioned earlier, is lending her expertise in assessment and evaluation to help lead the information gathering I mentioned earlier. Also, sidebar, congratulations to Laura for being named the undergraduate curriculum chair in sociology. That's really exciting. Laura started as a doctoral student teaching in the program and was brought in as liaison, and that trajectory continues. And congratulations for having way more on your plate than you used to, but also for winning that chair position. So let's see. Dawn Colley from Writing and Rhetoric is here with us today. She will be, she's in the process of crafting resources to help faculty navigate situations where students are presenting problematic and inappropriate messages and inappropriate attitudes. Those things have to be navigated case by case, so you have to look at the particulars, and Dawn is our resident expert working with that. Lee Frankel Goldwater, I mentioned earlier, has also rolled out and piloted a magnificent onboarding program in the Canvas shell that allows faculty to go through a step-by-step, well-resourced process to develop their courses and wind up with a finished course at the end. I use the word magnificent, but I did not use the word flawless because Lee is very vigilant about cultivating ongoing improvement and input into that program. But it's a terrific program. So at any rate, both Dawn and Lee we'll be hearing from a little bit more in a few minutes. Anyway, we're planning continuous improvement in the realm of faculty peer mentors. We're looking into how we can make them more available for individual consultations and workshops. And we'd be grateful to hear from any of you about your ideas for fostering this ecosystem of faculty peer support. So I'm going to pause again.
Jeff?
Questions. Yeah.
Hey, Jeff, let's go ahead and skip questions on this one for the sake of time, and so we can give Lee and Don their full time. Do you mind going straight to your last section on conferences and ProDevo?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, this is just we're planning to up our game with regard to professional development opportunities and conferences, but I just want to give a quick shout out to the things that you can access already, regardless of your rank as a faculty, regardless of whether or not you have a professional development budget. These are the things that we offer to all faculty. We have two conferences. The first one, you can put up the Colt link right now. The first one is the Colt Conference. Many of you have attended the Colt Conference. Happens in August, and the acronym is for the Colorado Learning and Teaching with Technology Conference. A really terrific conference. I think it's the caliber of presentations that national conferences are. But what's really cool is that the presenters are all from the Front Range, so it becomes a way to foster connections and collaborations throughout the year. And then we have the Accessing Higher Ground Conference, which is coming right up in November. That's a national conference, but it happens in Denver every year. And it helps us underscore our commitment to accessibility accommodation and universal design, which simultaneously accommodates students with disabilities and improves the overall deployment of multiple modalities for all students. So you have that link in the chat, and again, Adam will send out these links in an email as well. And then we're also keen on providing additional resources and opportunities for earning certifications or micro-credentials. You're all eligible for the micro-credential at Center for Teaching and Learning. And then Lee will be talking about the micro-credential associated with the onboarding program and Canvas. And if you find certifications out there that you might like to pursue, feel free to reach out to us about making a contribution to your funding if you want to get involved in a teaching and learning credential elsewhere. Again, we're happy to take your input about what might constitute valuable professional development opportunities as we build all of this out over the next year. And so I am finished. We can take questions after the others get a chance, but I'm going to go ahead and kick it to Dawn to talk about those difficult conversations. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jeff. So, hi everyone. I am the liaison between the PWR Program for Writing and Rhetoric and Continuing Ed. And my focus in my classes and in my work is on rhetoric and semiotics. So I'm very interested in how meaning is made. And I'm currently working, as Jeff mentioned, on a document for CE that is going to be more comprehensive than what I have time to offer here. But my focus today is on the relevance of compassion combined with some rhetorical considerations in navigating what we might consider to be educational opportunities for everyone or difficult moments in the classroom. So first things first, if a student is using threatening language, creates an apparent danger to others, implies danger to self, targets specific individuals or groups, uses hate speech, writes or speaks in a way that genuinely looks and sounds like discrimination or harassment, you'll want to contact your department representative, Students of Concern, or OIEC as appropriate, But I think that it's also interesting to note that freedom of speech, while it applies on campus, does not apply to classroom communities. And so it is absolutely possible for us to limit types of speech and subjects of inquiry in our classes, if that makes sense. So if you do feel like there's an opportunity in one of these trickier situations to create a compassionate dialectic, that's what I'm here to help with. So I regularly teach students how to engage in open, respectful conversation with people whose perspectives seem to be too far afield for any conversation to take place at all. So as an example, a student who studies astrophysics is often predisposed to believe that a conversation with a flat earther is impossible, but it isn't. And we learn together how to do that. And what they discover through the process is that there is a common ground between them, the astrophysicist student and the flat earther. And there's far more common ground than we're often encouraged to believe. And where we start is we're all humans doing the best that we can. Our perspectives are created through our education, both through our upbringing and informal settings, our experiences, the stories that we've been told, the stories that we've created, and the spaces where we find belonging. We all want to be accepted as we are. We all want to be heard and understood. It is through this awareness of audience, of the needs of people, that we can create a foundation or a bridge between disparate groups. So what the study of rhetoric invites us to understand, and let me be clear that while this approach might not work in all contexts, it is applicable and very effective most of the time, is that we can create spaces of trust, open, compassionate dialectic, and spaces that are genuinely inclusive by intentionally reframing conflict or an unanticipated perspective offered in class into opportunities for learning. The creation of such a space does have to do with the subjects that we teach, who we are individually, how comfortable we are sitting in discomfort as we shift the moment through an intentional reframe that dissipates antagonism and opens up a space of curiosity, of opportunity to learn and to grow, and of acceptance. So translating this into the classroom provides an opportunity when things happen that are unplanned to model effective strategies for a compassionate engagement using curiosity and a desire to learn as a means to open up all participants to new possibilities and deeper understanding. The point is not to force acquiescence or silence, but to invite an acknowledgement that we all see things in unique ways, which means that we are all limited, and together we can increase our perspectival awareness. Such teaching or such teaches or reinforces not only critical engagement and critical inquiry, but also self-inquiry and discovery. If we have established ground rules or community agreements, difficult moments in the classroom might not be as sticky as we fear if we frame into curiosity and a desire to learn. So because I teach rhetoric, it's pretty easy for me to step into something along the lines of, ooh, that feels to me like we're violating our community agreements here, but I know that this is not intentional on your part. Can you help me to understand how you see it differently? Or, well, I think that perhaps we're using a categorization or a story here as a way to move away from the discomfort of the unknown, or maybe to avoid grappling with some deeper aspect of ourselves. And I do want to thank you for providing this opportunity to step into a deeper conversation of these moments. And the fact is that we're often invited to stereotype and to categorize. So let's turn this back on ourselves to see what we can learn. So let's journal for 10 minutes about a time that we've felt stereotyped or over categorized or misrepresented, what it felt like in that moment, and what we can learn about ourselves and others through that experience. What I know through my dedication to the field of rhetoric is that we don't change people's minds by silencing them or by judging them or criticizing them for not being where we think they should be. A highly effective way to encourage growth, understanding, and the potential for any human including ourselves, to recognize and release limiting beliefs is through the creation of a compassionate space for humans, stumbling, falling, saying the wrong things, and yet doing the best that we can. Know that we will not be exiled for making mistakes, that we will still belong. So here's what I share with my students. If I want to be understood, I first need to demonstrate that I'm willing and open to understanding. If I give my audience the opportunity to speak first, I encourage them to trust that I'm sincere in wanting to learn from them, which encourages their sincerity in understanding me. In being curious and asking questions, not to find argumentative holds, but to learn from their perspective, creates the opportunity for that individual or my audience to understand that I value who they are and how they see the world. My questions are driven by a desire both to understand what the speaker or writer believes more fully and to provide them opportunities to realize where the limitations in their perspectives lie. The discovery of those limitations then becomes their own. My point is that we all stumble and we all falter and we all say things that people disagree with, or we say something that we didn't intend to say in the way that we happen to have said it. I just hope that in those moments, we all have someone who is willing to guide us through to a better understanding. But also, let us be clear that that someone doesn't always have to be us as instructors in the classroom. It is entirely dependent on the situation, what's going on in the class, what the subject is, and whether or not there is an opportunity for us to step in. So it's very important that we extend compassion to ourselves as well. Take advantage of the support that CU offers when and where you need it. And if you're teaching in CE, reaching out for guidance early and often is a great strategy. That's it from me for now until I get this other thing in place.
Thank you so much, Dawn. I really appreciate you sharing with us today. Are you going to be able to stick around after the 11 o'clock shutdown?
Yes.
Awesome. I appreciate that. We're going to go ahead and transition to Lee Frankel Goldwater from Environmental Sciences, who helmed our Teaching Excellence program this summer. Lee, are you available?
Yes, I am. Hello, everyone. And
Hello.
I have a little presentation that I'd like to share about this awesome program that we put together. Let me just pull that up here. Hopefully it'll allow me to share, and it will. Fantastic. So I'm delighted to share about the Teaching Excellence and Onboarding program. Very synchronous teaching and learning that we developed together over the past year with a really incredible team. And so I know we're short on time, so I'm going to dive right in and kind of move quickly through some of these key items about the program, what we've done and where we're going, and then I'll be around for questions and more deep dive into the session. So the program summary and goals. There's a need to support new instructors and GPTIs with online teaching and learning from onboarding to mature instructor. A big gap there. And this actually came from my time here as a GPTI with CEOC before there was a kind of program like this. It was kind of a Wild West experience. To support equity and capacity building for new instructors and GPTIs, because it's a lot of work developing your first courses. To guide CEOC course alignment with departmental standards and best practices for undergraduate education became an important emerging opportunity because there's no one size fit all for developing an asynchronous course. And then ultimately the goal here is to enhance student success, instructor professional development, and the long-term quality of our courses and programs. And so after a really neat pilot summers ago with environmental studies where I'm rooted in as a teaching professor, we determined that there were three pillars of a teaching excellence program that were valid. There was onboarding, timeline, and tracking, of being able to have this structured process of onboarding course development. There was having a social development and support team was absolutely vital. And then getting into the preliminaries of asynchronous pedagogy. I developed a mini master's program in asynchronous pedagogy, but to point people in the right directions. And that onboarding and teaching excellence aspect would be Canvas course guided, aligned with continuing ed and LDG processes, and supported by facilitators. But then that development team would have the pedagogy and design lead, which is that instructional designer from LDG. However, instructional designers, while incredible, don't know every discipline across campus. That would be impossible. So to match people with a course support mentor at discipline level to help them in their course development process and thinking about elements of course design, but then also the effort to develop a cohort experience of peer-to-peer connection for new instructors. And then asynchronous pedagogy training of looking at some of the best practices around asynchronous pedagogy, also guided by the Canvas course that we would create and facilitators. And so the development timeline looked like this for this arc that we've just run this past summer, is that in spring, we would do a development phase, worked with a great team on that. Summer, we'd launch this program, first group of people who are teaching in the fall of 2024. And then to do this fall, what we're working actively now is an evaluation step, looking at next development cycles, and we'll be doing a cohort experience for the instructors that were involved in this. Asynchronous delivery to support instructors for fall 2024, and then guided by a Canvas mini course. If we had had more time for this session, I would love to do you a walkthrough, but anyone who's in this Zoom chat who's not in that course and is curious to take a peek at what we've been up to, I'd be delighted to share access with you in order for you to poke around in there and see what it looked like. So the structure of this course had a program overview, was structured around course development steps, which was a structured timeline and key, let's say, milestones and tasks that lead to successful course publication. But there were also learning pathways focused on asynchronous teaching excellence. And from there was a capstone and harvest where participants, whether a written or video walkthrough of some element of their course, either the whole course or element of their course that had some novelty to it, and talking about their learning journey and elements that were novel and interesting to them as a bit of a capstone. These two components together also allow us to earn a micro credential, which is just at that tail end of the approval process and is almost done. And we're hopeful to give that to participants within the next month or so who completed. And so there's also a rich resource set of teaching resources and innovation. So this is the last couple slides here because I want to give us time to close, is the preliminary evaluations. It's something to work on in more detail this fall, is there are about 35 plus instructors. We keep on adding a few last minute here who want these resources, enrolled and eligible for compensation for completing the program, which is really excellent that we had those funds available. At least 3% of those who enrolled are on track to complete the program. So an important thing about this is that it wasn't a course like an undergrad course where you get A's and F's. This was an opportunity and an invitation. So I think that these completion numbers are really excellent. And those who I think many of those who may not complete to the end of the program did part of it and have access to all of these incredible resources, which was really ultimately one of the big check boxes we were looking to complete. Key strengths included flexibility, richness, and access to resources, mentorship, guidance around AI, structured support and compensation for program completion. And some areas of improvement next round is we offered this course to a wide demographic of brand spanking new instructors to those who had done this a bit before, and matching some of those demographic needs. Some course structure elements need tweaking. For dates and deadlines, we left it very open-ended on many of the dates and deadlines, and it seems maybe even more detailed structure there would be helpful. And enhancing the peer-to-peer interactions for a very protracted course that didn't have a firm start here, everyone better do this by this week. How do we really enhance peer interactions across very hyper asynchronous and protracted course timeline? Just a couple of examples of the very positive notes and quotes people have shared. My students are going to be much more richly rewarded because of what I learned through the TIAP program. I'm grateful. I'm still amazed I was setting up my courses without some of the foundations that were reinforced through this course. Definitely made me think how to integrate AI into my course. This quote is from someone who was taking a Cornell course in parallel. It said, TIAP was hands-on, the Cornell one was tedious and not hands-on at all. So a really great note there. And I think most importantly here of the notes, this course was an invaluable resource, and the continuing education team is committed to delivering top quality instruction, that communication to new instructors, that we really care about their course development. And so some future opportunities are feedback and integration into of that feedback into this first iteration for next steps, deepening our collaboration with LDG to make that interface between instructional designer and participants even better, targeting the onboarding gap needs even more effectively, and gathering this initial feedback to enhance that gap, working with LDG, or rather to enhance how we bridge that gap with the LDG team, exploring expansion of the program to asynchronous course instructors across campus, and many more. Excited to collaborate with anyone in this room who'd be interested. And I just want to thank an incredible team that was involved in helping to create this and had input all the way in this program. And so thank you to everyone there. And questions and next steps will be on after this session ends. And thank you for going with me as I rush through this explanation of the program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lee. And I've gotten a lot of positive feedback myself. Seeing those statements that you shared really makes me smile as well. I love seeing that we're doing so well, and thank you for helming it. Our last slide is going to be an email, and I think that is going to be okay, because essentially I was going to tell you that there's more to come. For those of you who were familiar with the link in your Canvas before, we provided free tutoring by an organization called Thinking Storm for the last few years. And that was just through CE Online Credit, but the Division of Continuing Education is partnering with a company called BrainFuse. So the BrainFuse tutoring service is replacing Thinking Storm, and you will get an invitation to an orientation with BrainFuse from me in the next few weeks as we establish that for CE Online Credit faculty. So watch for more on that. With that, I'm going to go ahead and close the structured aspect of our presentation today and open it up for questions, answers, and open forum. Thank you to everyone who came and has stuck with us this far. I look forward to hearing from those of you that can stay behind. And as always, we really appreciate everything all of our faculty and support units and partners do to make CE Online Credit as successful as it is. Thank you so much.